The radical left's agendas are challenging American values, but conservatives like you haven't forgotten what this country was built on. My friends, the Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard and to represent your values in the D.C. swamp. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. The national debt has exceeded $37.224 trillion today. That is a number that's so big nobody can truly comprehend it. But it's worse. If you read my book, Plunder and Deceit, some years ago, you know that there's a debt that's held off the books. That $37.224 trillion does not include so-called entitlements like Social Security and Medicare and the obligations that are owed. Every single business in America that has a health care program or a pension program, which is their equivalent, I suppose, to Social Security or Medicare, I understand it's inexact, but it's good enough. They have to account for the ability to pay for those obligations down the road. The federal government does not. The one entity that does is the Postal Service, because it's quasi-private. So when you hear that the Postal Service is running a massive debt and it has to keep increasing its prices, including for first-class stamps, that's why. It has to cover its out-year obligations to its personnel. To the best of my knowledge, it is the only entity within the federal government that has to do it. So for all the attacks on the Postal Service, whatever you think, the fact of the matter is their books are more honest. Hello, their books are more honest than any other entity or department in the federal government. Any. Because the rest of the federal government does not account for its financial obligations. So the real debt, as I wrote about in that book, far exceeds 37. God bless me. Far exceeds what is today $37.224 trillion. The media are reporting on that. They're reporting on nothing else. Nothing else when it comes to the debt. But when you include these so-called entitlement obligations, whether they're pension or medical, do you know what our debt is, Mr. Producer? Over $300 trillion. Over $300 trillion. You're not going to hear that anywhere else, even though I wrote about it many years ago. There's been congressional testimony about this from certain economists. But our government doesn't keep honest books. So the debt is over $300 trillion. It's not $37 trillion. And so, Mark, you ask, what do we do about it? You supported President Trump's big, beautiful bill. We know what we have to do about it. We know what we have to do about it. We have to have a convention of states that puts in place limitations on spending connected to the gross domestic product, the growth, that is the GDP, that occurs each year. And if it doesn't grow, it doesn't go up. If it goes down, it goes down. That's the key. That's the key. And I've written it out in that book. The Liberty Amendments has been sitting there untouched by politicians for years. So there are answers. Congress is not going to do it. Congress can't do it. Politically, it can't do it. It won't do it. I was asked by Stephen A. Smith, we talked about the debt a bit, and I said, the Democrats never provide a list. Let's see a list. Both parties, they put entitlements off the table. So you're left with about less than 20% of the federal budget. Less than 20%, and that includes defense spending. That includes the border. That includes the Department of Justice, the Department of Agriculture, and all the rest of it. So as you can see, the debt is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. And if you're just going to focus on discretionary spending, it's not going to happen. But they're not going to touch these so-called entitlements. They're not entitlements. You and I have paid into Social Security and Medicare, but I'm using the phraseology that's thrown around so there's no confusion. So they can't. Congress can't fix this. I don't care if they beat their chests, pat themselves on the head, shut down the government. The only way to fix this is convention of states. I'm just telling you the truth. Now let's move on. Adam Schiff. It appears that Adam Schiff is not only accused of being a crook, and is under criminal investigation now, but he's now being accused of what is effectively treason. And here's the story that's breaking in the New York Post as I speak. Adam Schiff approved intel leaks to smear Trump. Thought he'd be CIA chief if Hillary Clinton won, whistleblower says, by Ryan King. Senator Adam Schiff, then the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, authorized leaks of classified information to tarnish President Trump's image during the Russiagate probe, having assumed he would lead the CIA in a Hillary Clinton administration, according to newly released whistleblower statements. Now, you might recall Adam Schiff relied on a whistleblower, a so-called whistleblower, a liberal Democrat staffer, who they protected. You couldn't even mention the person's name in the media, so I mentioned it over and over and over and over again. Nobody's going to tell us not to mention the whistleblower's name. But the sword's cut the other way now. The unidentified male source, who worked as a Democratic staffer on the House Intelligence Committee for 12 years, after more than 2 decades in the intelligence community, so no rabid right-wing Republican, told FBI agents in December 2017 that the mood among the panel became, quote, indescribable, unquote, after Trump's upset win the year before. According to a summary of the interview obtained by the Post, quote, ranking member Schiff was particularly upset as he had believed he would have been appointed as the director of the CIA had candidate Hillary Clinton won the election. You see, they thought the fix was in. You know, they had the dossier, they had the FBI, they had the intelligence organizations, they had lied to the FISA court, Obama was in on it, half the cabinet was in on it, the media were in on it. They just figured they had Trump where they wanted him, and there was no way they were going to lose. Which is why when he won, they went after him and tried to destroy him. Which is why when he was a private citizen, they went after him and tried to destroy him. Which is why when he ran for president again, they went after him and tried to destroy him. And he's won. They're still going after him and trying to destroy him. And if they take the House, and we're going to be focused very heavily on the House in the months ahead, they'll do the same thing. So we have to stop them. You and me, we, the people. In September 2017, the same whistleblower told investigators that he had heard from congressional staff colleagues around October 2016 that Schiff would be offered the CIA job if Clinton had won. After Trump was sworn in as the 45th president, the September 2017 interview summary reads, quote, Schiff believed Russia hijacked the election and the United States was in the middle of a constitutional crisis. Classified information began leaking to the media. The Democratic minority leadership in the Intelligence Committee was aware of the leaks, but was under the impression that leaking the information was one way to topple the administration and fix the constitutional crisis. Now, this is an interview this whistleblower had in September 2017. He told this stuff to the FBI. This means the FBI knew. Where was Christopher Wray? He eventually was appointed by Trump. Where was he? It goes on. During an FBI interview in June 2023, the whistleblower recalled being part of an all-staff meeting called by now Senator Schiff, which the Democrat, quote, stated the group would leak classified information, which was derogatory to the President of the United States, stated the information would be used to indict Trump as president, to indict him. As you know, you don't indict a sitting president, but they don't care. The whistleblower said he objected to Schiff's idea. A summary of that interview reveals, only to be told by other participants, quote, that they would not be caught leaking classified information. In other words, leak it, you won't get caught. Of course not, because the media will cover for you. Sometime later, the whistleblower said he was approached again about leaking against Trump and responded that, quote, he believed this activity to be unethical and treasonous. The whistleblower later reached out to the FBI and was even invited to attend a mock grand jury hearing, only to later be told the Justice Department would not investigate further. That is, his allegations. They were not going to investigate further. Investigators believe Schiff, now 65, was protected by the Constitution speech and debate clause. Of course, you're not protected by the Constitution speech and debate clause if you're committing crimes, ladies and gentlemen. So that was a lie. That was a lie. Which bars the apprehension of legislators for their professional activities except in the event of felony, treason, and breach of the peace. Well, this was not part of his official duties. They pull this same stuff with the immunity of the president. It's not part of Obama's official duties to direct the CIA and the intel community to produce a reassessment that gives him what he wants, which is Russia collusion that never existed. Now, the whistleblower claimed during his June 2023 interview that he did not believe Schiff's actions were covered by the speech or debate clause, and the whistleblower was correct. The whistleblower's claims were first reported by Just the News, with FBI Director Kash Patel confirming on Twitter, X, Monday night. Quote, we found it, we declassified it. Now Congress can see how classified information was leaked to shape political narratives and decide if our institutions were weaponized against the American people, unquote. Footnote here. All the attacks against Patel and Bongino were bullcrap. Bullcrap pushed by these phony podcasters, these anti-Semite, isolation, America-hating, fake MAGA podcasters. You can see they're releasing very important information, and they've been legitimately, legally. Patel previously worked as a top aide to former House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes and authored a memo accusing FBI officials of abusing their power during the Trump-Russia investigation, which proceeded under the codename Crossfire Hurricane. Now, this whistleblower was described as, quote, friends with both Schiff and Nunes, unquote, and someone who, quote, worked with senior political leaders from both major political parties. However, an October 2017 FBI memo claimed that word was spreading among committee staff that the whistleblower had been fired by a, quote, perceived lack of party loyalty, unquote. When a Republican staffer went to offer condolences, the memo relates, the whistleblower told them they had lost their job because, quote, there was an expectation of leaking, and he refused to participate, unquote. Over drinks that evening, the whistleblower claimed the Democrats on the Intel Committee had established a system for leaking in which sensitive information would be given to Adam Schiff, after which a decision was made as to who would leak the information. One prominent oversharer, according to the whistleblower, was, guess who? Eric Swalwell, another committee member. In the December 2017 FBI interview, the whistleblower recounted how a particularly sensitive document was seen by a small group of lawmakers and staff, including Schiff and Swalwell, but leaked out almost verbatim within a day. And the whistleblower allegedly claimed to have been warned to be careful because he, Swalwell, had a reputation for leaking classified information. Schiff, who spearheaded the first impeachment of Trump in 2019, had long been suspected by Republicans of leaking classified information. During the Russiagate saga, he also infamously read key portions of the since-debunked Steele dossier into the congressional record in 2017. They need to get to the bottom of this. DOJ will conduct a criminal investigation, but in my view, the Ethics Committee in the House should conduct an investigation, and if they find even a single ground that he did this, he should be expelled from the Senate. The Senate Ethics Committee should take this up. They don't need to be asked to. They should take it up on their own. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, we're less than a year from the 250th birthday of our great nation. But sadly, far too many have forgotten what this country stands for. Why? Because they forgot or were never even taught how this country was founded, why it was founded, and who founded it. If we lose our heritage, we lose America. That's why the Heritage Foundation needs your help. They've created a resource not just to ensure that patriots like you don't forget about the American founding, but to equip Americans with the facts they've never learned in school. This resource, Why the American Founding Matters, explores the question of why it's so important to study the American founding and why the founding still matters today. Folks, don't wait. Get your free copy of this essay today at heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Now, included in this resource is a comprehensive timeline of the American founding from 1774 to 1800. You need to read it, folks, and so does everyone you know. So go to heritage.org/Levin now. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. You see, folks, it's amazing people who use the law to try and destroy others, who use hearings to try and destroy others, who use their public positions to try and destroy others, people they disagree with, people they want to defeat. You see this with Latucus James, the Attorney General in Albany, New York. You see this with Adam Schiff. They're both accused of being the worst kind of crooks. And one was a congressman at the time. Now he gets elected to the Senate. The other one is the Attorney General in New York, who was on the New York Council. There's really no defending what they've done with their mortgages. I don't know how they're going to get out of that. They ought to throw the book at these people. They really do think they're above the law. Imagine absolutely no character when they're out there talking about nobody's above the law. We're gonna do real valuations of Trump's property. Such liars. Adam Schiff, he knew all along there was no Russia collusion, but he pushed it. Classified information they had that they probably shouldn't have had, and they were leaking it left and right, according to the whistleblower. These are loathsome people. So what's going on here? We need to really tighten this up and explain what we're witnessing, what we're experiencing. Don't think it ends just because of these two reprobates. It's going on every day. Every day. But stick with me. I want to put a bow around this. We'll be right back. How many founding fathers can you name? I'd bet most Americans can't name more than 2 or 3. Folks, if we forget the founding, our country's heritage, we risk losing our America as we know it. The Heritage Foundation needs your help, ensuring that the American founding and those who made it possible aren't forgotten. Their new resource, Why the American Founding Matters, explores why the American founding still matters in the 21st century and why it's so important that we study it. Without the unique principles that form the basis of our founding documents, the challenges of self-government, and the dedication foundation of our founding fathers. America as we know it could never have existed. So go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Get your copy of this important new essay from the Heritage Foundation, which includes a comprehensive timeline of the American founding from 1774 to 1800. There's too much at stake to not take action today, so please get your free copy at heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/Levin.
Mark Levin, radio's hell-raising intellectual. Call now, 877-381-3811.
You know, this show is getting stronger and stronger by the day. And what I mean by that is it reach, the audience listenership, additional affiliates and platforms. Really, just every day it's getting bigger and bigger. And tomorrow we, at their request, and we're happy to do this for sure, the governor of Texas is scheduled to be here in the second hour of the program. Governor Abbott, and in the third hour of the program, the governor of Florida is scheduled to be here, Ron DeSantis. And then on Thursday, the Prime Minister of Israel is scheduled to be here, Benjamin Netanyahu. So we have a full board of people, newsmakers, leaders, and it'll be very, very interesting. We look forward to having them. Now, I just told you about Adam Schiff. I told you what he did. He's accused of being a leaker of classified information. Hillary Clinton was a leaker of classified information, but she got off scot-free. They tried to create a scenario in which the former president, Trump, was a leaker of classified information, but as I was the first to point out, a president can't have violated the Espionage Act. It's an impossibility. Then you have the green eye shade former federal prosecutors that say, no, it's not, Mark. What the hell's wrong with you? He never signed any documents saying that he was declassifying something. Is that what the Constitution says? He has to sign a document and hand it to a subordinate? He is the executive branch. And so here we have Adam Schiff. And I've been talking about this with you now for maybe 2 months, but I want to highlight it as an example. So let me go to my book on power and explain this. Typically, Western institutions have been established gradually by experience and practice, are constituted by design to counter or limit the most aggressive forms of negative power, such as dictatorships or oligarchies. However, over time, they tend to become susceptible to a softer form of negative power. Political parties and political movements in the West look for advantages in acquiring, holding, and expanding their power, whether changing election laws, governing increasingly through non-representative bureaucracies and so-called independent agencies and commissions, the rule of carefully selected judges or judicial councils and the like, the conflict between honoring and complying with the institutional limits placed on power, and the allure of self-aggrandizement is both real and perhaps inevitable over time. As such, the once authentic and thought to be effective institutions for limiting excesses of power are transformed into Potemkin-like fictions, used to disguise the intentions of the abusers, and worse, are transformed into tools in support of the exercise of what I call soft negative power. That is, and you've heard me use this, authoritarian democracy. Authoritarian democracy. This is Adam Schiff. This is Latukas James. This is Raskin and Sanders and Tlaib and AOC and Omar, and the list is a long one. Authoritarian democracy. It's when a democracy begins to slide into a form of authoritarianism, not all at once, but steadily, where authoritarian attributes slowly proliferate, and one branch of the democracy begins to envelop the others, or where all branches coalesce into one. Either way, the exercise of power is steadily centralized, and the citizenry increasingly peripheral. It typically results in the rule by unelected government branches, but can also mutate into excessive executive or legislative empowerment. Got that? That's what you see. Congress, the multiple impeachments, Schiff, Raskin, and the others. One of the things that frustrates me is when I see Bernie Sanders out there yelling about oligarchy, yelling about how the Democrat Party's left the middle class. Now, keep in mind, this guy is a Marxist. He's not even a Democrat. But the Democrat Party is so weak, it won't cleanse itself of these Marxists and these Islamists. And I want to say something to Republicans in a moment about that. So you got guys like Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, who's Jewish, who spends more time attacking Netanyahu in Israel than attacking the Islamists in his state. Because in the end, they're political. And in the end, they're in the Democrat Party. And the Democrat Party requires certain attributes. Negative power. So that's what you see in my book on power. I lay it all out. This is why things come together. I want to thank again the fantastic hosts who've been interviewing me this week, scores of them. Peter Schweitzer interviewed me today with his partner Eric. They did a fantastic job. And by the way, Hannity's Linda works with them too. She is unbelievable. But what a great trio there. And my dear friend Stephen A. Smith, we posted that interview. And he's a fantastic interviewer. I don't care if you agree with him or not. He does an excellent, excellent job. And Vince, nationally syndicated Vince, through Westwood One, I spoke with him today. Colin Hayes, he's just terrific. And so many local and regional hosts. I can't begin to name them all over the country. Many of you have heard them. Many of them are morning hosts or host programs at different times than I do, but it doesn't matter. They're fantastic. And those who've read the book love the book, and I want to encourage you to get it online on Power or Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Sam's Club, any major retail outlet that carries books. It's right there in the front, should be, on Power. It's number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list. I know that drives them nuts. But this is all thanks to you. The fact that this program is as far-reaching and influential as it is, that's thanks to you. You know, I noticed on my Fox show, I can tell when the numbers come in, football's back, Mr. Producer. Because the 8 p.m. Eastern slot is right in the teeth of football. So we have to fight football, we have to fight baseball, we got to fight it all. But we do. That's what we do. It's like this time slot, 6 to 9 Eastern time. It used to be the worst in the country. And yet here I am, one of the longest ever, not just radio hosts, but certainly nationally syndicated hosts and one of the most successful programs ever. Thanks again to you. And by the way, this is a good lesson. You don't have to be in radio or TV. Regardless of the obstacles in front of you, if you do the very best you can, and you really are able to reveal yourself, who you are, in doing the very best you can, you're going to make it. In one of the interviews I said today, some great questions. How did I get into radio and TV? Was this something I always wanted to do? Well, it's something I always wanted to do, but I didn't really work at it to get into it. I work at it now to be a radio host and a TV host the best I can. But how did I get on radio and TV? I didn't lobby for it. Well, the door was open. And some people just don't want to walk through the door, Mr. Producer. I had been a guest on cable TV. I've been a guest on Hannity and Combs. Hannity, I became fast friends a quarter of a century ago. I was on Crossfire on CNN, taking on the best they had and whipping their asses, to be perfectly honest with you. I've been a radio host. I helped Rush with constitutional stuff. And so there I am, F. Lee Levin, the director of his legal division. There was no legal division, but that was the genius of Rush. He was hilarious. If the door opens, go in. Don't be afraid. That's my advice. How do you make it? That's how you make it. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be. And try to be the very best at it. If you're an electrician, be the best electrician. Word of mouth matters. If you're a handyman, be the best handyman. If you're a landscaper, be the very best you can. If you're a Lyft driver, Uber driver, people are going to take your name and they're going to want you to help them every time. They're going to call. I can go right through it. A restaurateur, if it's the best food and the greatest service, you're going to succeed. Surgeons? Yes. Lawyers? Yes. Every walk of life, quite frankly. Every walk of life. I thought that was a great question today. A great question. But this issue of Adam Schiff and Latucus James, assuming they can prove whatever they have, they need to go to prison. They do. Now, that's not, don't put your hopes out there, everybody. Don't put your hopes way out there. I told you the Epstein thing was a nothing. It wasn't going to go anywhere. The guy killed himself. The girlfriend's got a 20-year prison sentence. Trump didn't do anything. If there's any Democrats in there, we'd know by now. And maybe there are at some point. Judge isn't going to release the grand jury information. They almost never do. And so you have these grifters. And this is what I wanted to talk about. The Democrat Party does not denounce its anti-Semites. It embraces them. It votes for them. It promotes them. We're not denouncing our anti-Semites either. In fact, they're not really ours. They've moved. They've moved. And I have fought these people now for months. You know who they are. And I'm going to continue to fight them for months. But what troubles me is when we don't have Republicans who speak out against them, who don't speak out against the Tuckers and the Bannons. And what was the other one's name, Mr. Producer, that you found for me? I can't remember. Owens. The Owens. And people who platform them. People who platform them like there's two sides to a debate when it comes to anti-Semitism. And then that somehow is okay. It's not okay. And whether it's anti-Semitism or racism, that's not who we are. And this anti-Semitism is growing now into anti-Christianity by the same people. By the same people. Then in the Democrat Party, you get them undone because you don't denounce them. You don't fight them. This clown in Minnesota, same thing. These people in Congress. Bernie Sanders is on CNN. They treat him like he's the Pope. The Pope? Guy's a Stalinist. I still hear them on TV, even Friends, TV and radio, calling Mondami a democratic socialist because he wants to be called a democratic socialist. You call him a democratic socialist? He's a Marxist Islamist. That's what he is. He spews Marxism. He preaches Islamism. Why are you calling him a democratic socialist? It's oxymoronic. It doesn't even make any sense. Socialism is the government controlling the means of production and distribution. What does that have to do with democratic? Nothing. So why do you give them the propaganda? Why do you give them the nomenclature that they demand? He is a Marxist Islamist. That's what he is. He's also a Stalinist. That's the form of communist that he is. Just like Bernie Sanders. Now, we're not going to defeat these people if we don't call them what they are. And as for the out-of-the-closet anti-Semites, these podcasters, they got little tricks up their short sleeves. They bring on phony historians that tell you that Hitler is misunderstood and it was really Winston Churchill who prolonged World War II. They'll tell you that World War II was really fought for the Jews. I'm seeing that one now. Well, somebody tell the Japanese who attacked us at Pearl Harbor. I guess there were a lot of Jews at Pearl Harbor, Mr. Producer. I don't know. Of course not. And they go further and further, trashing our country, trashing our allies. Joseph Kennedy, the old man, the patriarch of the family, he was sympathetic to Hitler and the Third Reich, and he was appointed ambassador to Britain because of his wealth. He would go around FDR's back, and he would go around the back of the British government and send messages to the Third Reich about how he despised the Jews and his support for what they were doing. So so FDR yanked him, made him the chairman of the, whatever it was, doesn't matter. I think it was the SEC, maybe not, but I believe that's what happened. It's a huge problem in the Democrat Party, but my question is, why aren't elected Republicans speaking out against these people who were formerly Republican and now they trash the Republican Party, they trash Trump, they trash conservatives, These people had no role in the Tea Party, no role in Convention of States, no role in the Reagan Revolution. Many of them had no role in Trump getting elected. They claimed they did, but they didn't. So why are we afraid to call these people out? By name. And why am I one of the few? The first one, and now one of the few to do it. We should call it out wherever it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is a cancer. This is a cancer that will destroy the country. It's destroyed our universities and colleges. Donald Trump is pushing back as hard as he can. He's taking on the colleges and universities as is his administration. He's taking on the corporations that are pushing this stuff. He's taking them on. We have these fantastic Christian groups who are doing the same thing as well. You can too. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, we're less than a year from the 250th birthday of our great nation. But sadly, far too many have forgotten what this country stands for. Why? Because they forgot or were never even taught how this country was founded, why it was founded, and who founded it. If we lose our heritage, we lose America. That's why the Heritage Foundation needs your help. They've created a resource not just to ensure that patriots like you don't forget about the American founding, but to equip Americans with the facts they've never learned in school. This resource, Why the American Founding Matters, explores the question of why it's so important to study the American founding and why the founding still matters today. Folks, don't wait. Get your free copy of this essay today at heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Now, included in this resource is a comprehensive timeline of the American founding from 1774 to 1800. You need to read it, folks, and so does everyone you know. So go to heritage.org/Levin now. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Where the hell did this hour go, Mr. Producer? They always go fast, as far as I'm concerned. But then again, I'm the host. But some hosts, they just... 3 hours, what am I going to do? You ought to hear. I speak to someone, what am I going to do? Do the damn show. You'll have fun if you know what you're doing. The Democrats are still saying that Trump is doing this or Trump is doing that to distract from the Epstein case. The only problem is you don't give a damn about the Epstein case. The American people don't give a damn about the Epstein case. It doesn't affect your livelihood. It doesn't affect your ability to hold onto your savings and your paycheck. It doesn't affect the price of food or energy. It doesn't affect, crime in your community. And I told you this would be the case. But the grifters, the drifters, the frauds, the phonies, and the fools who need eyes and clicks. And by the way, do you notice, Mr. Producer? They're not even talking about Epstein anymore. Because they're clowns. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. The president wants to bring peace and security to the nation's capital. Of course, the Democrats are very upset. Why? Because the Democrats view criminals as their voters, the way they view illegal aliens as their voters. Wasn't that long ago when they argued that people in prison should be able to vote. Bernie Sanders, the Stalinist, remember, he believed that even if you're on death row, you should be able to vote. Do you remember that? Well, I'll remind you. So they want those people to vote. They want illegal aliens to vote. And so successful people who earn money, they want to destroy. And by the way, don't think it's just billionaires. If you started your own plumbing company or your electrician or whatever, they want to destroy you too. Trust me. Because you're not part of their clique. You're not with Marxism, Islamism, the redistribution of your wealth. When they talk about redistribution of wealth, they're talking about redistributing what you have earned. You, all of you. There's no limit to it. Look all over the world where they do this stuff. Do they say only billionaires? No. They're the ones who become billionaires by theft. And the people are starving. All the people. There's economic dislocation. Look at these people. They're stupid. They've got no background. This is what Bill Buckley, the late great Bill Buckley, meant when he said, I'd rather be ruled by 1,000 people, randomly picked in the Boston phone book when we had phone books, than the professors at Harvard. Of course he's right and was right. So the president's trying to bring security and safety to Washington, D.C., which is overwhelmingly a Democrat city. I believe it has a majority black population. And he's being called a racist by trying to bring security and safety to Washington, D.C. He's being called a racist by individuals who are more Democrat than anything else, who really don't care about the people in the city. And here's Mayor Muriel Bowser. Look, she's no radical kook, but she's an incompetent, to be perfectly honest with you. She's not offensive in some way, but she's an incompetent. She's a boob. The city council's filled with radical kooks. Cut one, Mr. Producer, go.
My message to residents is this. We know that access to our democracy is tenuous. That is why you have heard me and many, many Washingtonians before me.
Now, let's wait a minute there. What she means by that is they don't have a right to vote for 2 senators and a congressman. So democracy is tenuous. Now, if they move to Maryland, they have a right to vote for 2 senators and a congressman. That's right. The District of Columbia was carved out a long, long time ago at the beginning of our Constitution. There should be no secret what the District of Columbia is. Go ahead.
Full statehood for the District of Columbia. We are American citizens. Our families go to war. We pay taxes and we uphold the responsibilities of citizens.
We're not talking about the good citizens of Washington, D.C. We're talking about you and the people who run it and run it into the ground. The citizens in Washington, D.C. are everything you say they are, which is why what you're doing is outrageous in your city council. You're not protecting them. You undermine the cops. You make it impossible for them to arrest the people they need to arrest and put them in prison. And the people in the city suffer, just like they suffer from your damnable school system, where the city opposes school choice. Only the wealthiest can get school choice. You see, there's a way to fight this. There's a way to fight the Mondamis and the Bernie Sanders and all the rest. These people are not poor. Mondami's a multimillionaire. Sanders is a multimillionaire. Elizabeth Warren's a multimillionaire. There's a way to fight these people, and not with class warfare. School choice. We want school choice for everybody. They don't. We want protection for everybody in the city, particularly in the poorer areas where crime is so high. They don't. Go ahead.
And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised.
Really? You can't say it? I've always been curious about that turn of a phrase, by the way, putting her aside. I can't say it, but I will. It need not be said, but then they say it. It's kind of weird, don't you think? But anyway, cut to, Mr. Producer. This is Karen Bass, another failed mayor of Los Angeles. Cut to, go.
This was a test case, and I think D.C. is a test case as well, for the president to say, well, we can take over your city whenever we want, and I'm the commander-in-chief, and I can use...
Of course, the president can't take over any city whenever he wants. District of Columbia is a federal city. It was given home rule, I guess you can call it, in bits and pieces, starting in the 70s under Nixon, as I pointed out yesterday. And it has the power to take it away. It's where the federal government is. It's where your Congress, Supreme Court, the president is. And so much more. And so the thinking correctly was, look, we've got to cut out this little piece of land, and it is relatively small, for our nation's capital. So the population that is there now was not there before. Neither the numbers or the race. So people moved into the District of Columbia. Nobody's stopping anybody from doing anything. And so now the crime is out of control. The city keeps spinning the numbers. It is a dangerous, dangerous city, period. You can compare it to states where it would be the most dangerous state. You can compare it to whatever you want. They compare it to their own numbers and say, see, only 187 were killed last year. We're only going to have about 180 killed this year. Oh, okay. And the police union chief comes out and says, they lie about their numbers, right? And I read to you a story yesterday where one guy was removed, a commander, because he did lie about the numbers. So who cares about the numbers? We're talking about human beings. So here's Karen Bass, who spends most of her time defending what? Illegal aliens and criminal illegal aliens. Go ahead, please.
I think that is an abuse of our troops, and I think it's an overreach of presidential powers for the president.
Okay, so what you're hearing here is basically what the Democrats keep saying and saying and saying and saying. It's not an overreach of federal power. President's lawyers took a good look at this, and they're following. They're following the Constitution of the United States. Again, it's a federal city. It's not like any other city. Now, Pete Buttigieg, the Democrats are gone. The party's gone. There's not a rational one among them, except Fetterman, quite frankly. Here's Buttigieg, a complete failure. Ignored the problems with the FAA. Sean Duffy's in there trying to fix the FAA and NASA at the same time. He's got his hands full. President of the United States just agreed to billions and billions to be spent to fix the FAA. Buttigieg, he didn't do anything. Nothing. Remember all those electric charging stations? Remember all that stuff? So, of course, they want to know what he thinks about it. Cut 3, go.
As we speak, the federal government is taking over the policing of a major American city, Washington, D.C.
No, it's taking over Washington's policing under the Constitution and, in fact, a specific federal law that allows 30 days and an extension. And so they want you to believe the worst. They want you to believe the worst. Go ahead.
And is doing this not in order to make the city safer. That's the job of local law enforcement.
What do you mean he's not doing it to make the city safer? Why else would he be doing it? Why do these people always have to attack his purpose? He's made it clear what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. He wants to clean up the city. The Democrats don't want to clean up the city. It's the job of local law enforcement, he says. He doesn't even know what's in the Constitution. None of these crackpots know what's in the Constitution. It's the federal city. That's what it is. It's the District of Columbia. It was carved out of Maryland and Virginia. They gave Virginia back its land. It didn't need as much land back then. Now they'd love to have it to keep building their bureaucracies. It is the federal city under the Constitution. That land was put aside. It didn't have this massive population. It didn't have a massive population of minorities. It was in fact, it was a swamp. They had to backfill most of it. So they took a piece of land from both states that was given to the federal government by both states that they didn't even want because it was swampland. And then they backfilled it up, which is why you get a lot of humidity in D.C. and a lot of mosquitoes in D.C., quite frankly, and way too many liberals. But you get the point. Go ahead.
Political problems. He needs to get his base talking and thinking about something besides his refusal to open up the Epstein files.
This has nothing to do with his base. Honestly, the vast majority of the base doesn't live in Washington, D.C. Most of the base probably didn't give a damn. He gives a damn. And this stuff about the Epstein files is just amazing to me. They controlled the Epstein files. They didn't find anything. They didn't make anything available. And his base, the Republican Party, backs Trump 90%, according to the latest poll. And the Epstein files, don't even register as a single % as the top issue. This was something being pushed by the Democrats, by the media, by the left, and by these Jew-hating isolationist podcasters. I guess because his name is Epstein. Although they went after Churchill, and of course Churchill wasn't Jewish. Go ahead.
And he wants the rest of the country focused on something.
All right, he's a moron. He's a moron. And then we have a guy named Brian Schwab. He is the Attorney General of DC. Of course, he's doing a fantastic job, Mr. Schwab. You're a farce and a phony and a freak. You ought to retire. So he goes on the morning schmub because it's very important that we hear from a failure. Cut 4, go.
I'm very concerned about the law of the country, the Home Rule Act and the D.C. Charter being complied with. As your lead-in indicated, this is an unprecedented step taken by the President of the United States.
It's an unprecedented step because you've only had home rule since the 70s, and the law does, in fact, allow for it. You might say it's unlawful under the Home Rule Act, but it is specifically lawful. Let me tell you something, folks. Before the president acts, he's got the top lawyers, some of the top lawyers in the country at the White House counsel. He's got the top lawyers at the Department of Justice and the Office of Legal Counsel, among other places. He's not just shooting from the hip. So when you have these clowns showing up on TV, this is unprecedented. The Home Rule Act, they're violating it over the Metropolitan Police. No, he's not. He's not violating anything. Isn't it funny how they want to lawyer this stuff, though? People are getting killed and maimed and raped horribly. In violation of the Home Rule Act, the Home Rule Act. And go ahead.
Of Home Rule in the District of Columbia, this provision of the Home Rule Charter has never been invoked by a president.
So what? In fact, most provisions of the Home Rule Charter have never been invoked by a president. So what? It's the thing about Trump. He tries to do what's right, what makes sense. The fact that it was never triggered by a president, who cares? What does that have to do with anything? A former president of the United States was never indicted either, and they indicted him almost 100 times. In 2 different federal jurisdictions, 2 localities, and 1 state. It's never been done before. Oh, really? I'm sorry. Tough crap. Go ahead.
There are limited authorities of the president.
Thank you and good night. All right, one more. So many losers here. Let's go to Joe Biden in 1992. Now, by my calculation, 1992, Mr. Producer, was what, 33 years ago? Am I close? Math was not my top subject, I must confess, but 33 years ago. So here's Joe Biden in 1992, hat tip Maze on X. This guy or gal is fantastic, Maze on Twitter. Now this is 33 years ago. Cut 7, go.
Driving home, my staff who lives here in the Hill reminded me, don't stop at a stoplight until I'm out of town. If I see a red light late at night, since there's very little traffic, slow up at the other block so I never come to a full stop except in the middle of the block. Because of carjackings. Stopping at a light, people standing in a corner, walking up with a gun.
Wow, he must have been a racist back then. Wow. That's 33 years ago, America. So what did he do about it as president? Not a damn thing. That's the difference between Trump and, frankly, everybody else that's held that office. He sees a problem, he wants to deal with it. He walks around that White House. He sees things that are deteriorate. He says, I want to deal with it. He sees we have to have tents outside all the time for events. I have an idea. Let's build a ballroom. And the taxpayer, you are not going to pay for it. I'm going to pay for some of it, and I'm going to raise the money to build it and enhance it. This is the way this guy thinks. That's why he's so fantastic, in my humble opinion. But there's Joe Biden talking about crime in Washington, D.C. 33 years ago. But don't worry, it doesn't exist anymore. Say the Democrats, who don't believe crime is in any major city because they run every damn one of them. Nah, there's no crime in Philly, my home city. It's gone to hell. New York, oh yeah, the problem is the NYPD, and in L.A., yeah, we open our arms to illegal aliens, criminals, everybody, yeah. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
How many times have you told someone, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Now, that's great advice for most things, but not so much for a cell phone. See, over time, the battery life fades, the processor can't keep up, and it's fallen in the toilet perhaps one too many times. Fortunately, thanks to Pure Talk, your cell phone is something you can replace without feeling guilty. When you switch to Pure Talk this month, they're going to give you a Samsung Galaxy A36 for free with a $35 qualifying plan. Wow, just $35 a month for talk, text, and data, and a free Samsung phone, the scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass, and a battery that lasts all day. All on America's most dependable 5G network. Look, supporting companies like Pure Talk is a really good thing. You win by cutting your cell phone bill in half. They win by hiring more Americans and helping more veterans. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to get your free phone today. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin. Switch to my wireless company, America's wireless company, Pure Talk. Hello. You know, this Adam Schiff is putting out all these statements, Mr. Producer. He needs to do it under oath, don't you think? I'm innocent. I haven't done anything. He'll plead the fifth faster than a, whatever. Then we have Jamie Raskin. Jamie Raskin, of course, is a Stalinist, as was his father, and I'm not kidding. He's dressed up as another Democrat. He led all the impeachment efforts against Trump. He pushed all the criminal investigation of Trump. This guy is really disgusting. He's a real lowlife. I've tried to debate him. He won't show up. Bernie Sanders won't show up. What do they call themselves? The sludge. What is it? Whatever they are. They won't show up. You know, the women. AOC, Tlaib. None of them will show up. Who else won't show up? None of them. Here's Jamie Raskin. Cut 8. Go.
But people don't always feel the statistics, right? Do you, as someone who, works in the District of Columbia, you drive through it all the time, you know a lot of people who live here all the time, do you feel like crime is down in D.C. compared to other more recent years?
Well, definitely when you compare it to, other periods in the history of Washington, D.C., when there was very serious spikes in crime, and it, felt really dangerous to go out. But look,
Tommy Raskin, if that is your name, where do you live? Do you live in D.C.? I have an idea. I have an idea for all the Democrats. Why don't we remove the Capitol Police from the Capitol building? All the barriers that are there, they have like tank tracks and these steel barriers that come up. Why don't we remove the cops and the barriers and the metal detectors and all the rest? Why don't we do that if there's no crime in Washington, D.C., you little bastard? I'll be right back. How many times have you told someone, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Now, that's great advice for most things, but not so much for a cell phone. See, over time, the battery life fades, the processor can't keep up, and it's fallen in the toilet perhaps one too many times. Fortunately, thanks to Pure Talk, your cell phone is something you can replace without feeling guilty. When you switch to Pure Talk this month, they're going to give you a Samsung Galaxy A36 for free with a $35 qualifying plan. Wow, just $35 a month for talk, text, and data, and a free Samsung phone, the scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass, and a battery that lasts all day. All on America's most dependable 5G network. Look, supporting companies like Pure Talk is a really good thing. You win by cutting your cell phone bill in half. They win by hiring more Americans and helping more veterans. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to get your free phone today. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin. Switch to my wireless company, America's wireless company, Pure Talk.
It's your daily adult dosage of the Constitution. The Mark Levin Show. Call him now at 877-381-3811.
All right. As we plow ahead here very easily and very quickly. All right, Mr. Producer. Where am I? What do you want me to do? Which one? Okay. Well, that's not on my... Okay. Here we go. Folks, you have people telling you, especially now, you've heard all these leftist Democrats say, oh, look at this. Trump's taking over the city. Who does he think he is? This is the first step in taking over all the cities, you know. Oh, yes. Then you have Pritzker. The guy's a fat slob, isn't he? What's with that head of his, Mr. Producer? What is that? It is weird, don't you think? It's a weird dude. He's a billionaire. We don't support billionaires, do we? No, except the billionaires that they like. Notice Bernie never talks about millionaires anymore, because he is one. By the way, I see the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton keeps wearing a baseball hat. You know what that tells me? That tells me he's getting plugs. You know what I'm saying? Now, I always wear a baseball hat. I'm not getting plugs. I'm bald and I love it. That's right. I love it. More importantly, my wife loves it. So there I am. I don't care. So I wear a baseball cap all the time, really, to make sure that, you know, I don't get cancer, skin cancer, that sort of thing. So I wear a baseball cap. Other people who wear baseball caps who kind of have hair and kind of don't, they're having plugs, you know. Rush used to call Biden plugs. It was a good name for him, I thought, but now I like Autopen better by the president. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I say this, but, you know, the media and their entrails, like Mediaite and the Drudge Report. By the way, Mediaite and the Drudge Report, can I ask Matt Drudge a question, and can I ask Dan Abrams a question, and then his boy Colby. Colby, come home, honey. Put your pants on. But anyway, why do you keep promoting anti-Semites? Why do you do that, the two of you? I'm curious to know this. Why do you keep doing it? Why do you keep promoting Hamas? Why do you do that? And what is this relentless, obsessive hatred of Donald Trump and everything Donald Trump? I mean, why do you exist? We already have a Democrat Party. We already have the Soros Media Matters. The Drudge Report has obviously been taken over, or Matt had a head injury, one or the other. Over there at Mediocreite, it is mediocre. The vast majority of the writers are leftists, failed leftists. The guy in charge is like a former TV producer and a coward. He won't come on the show. And then they have a couple of so-called conservatives, but they have to sell their souls, like this guy Isaac Shore, or whatever his name is. Used to work at National Review and so forth, but now he's at Mediaite. Isaac, may I give you some personal advice in front of millions of people? Get out of there as fast as you can. You're ruining yourself. You look like a buffoon. The stuff that you're writing. Isaac, you write about the Jews, okay? You write about Levin. Okay, you can do it. He's going to have a tougher time. But anyway, these sites, they keep promoting these fraudulent podcasters. They keep promoting these Jew haters. They keep promoting these Hamas supporters. They keep promoting Christian haters. What is their purpose? Money. That's it. That's all Dan Abrams ever gave a damn about. That's why he's kind of destroyed the coverage of the law in the courts. He's got this show, what's it called? Courts, or whatever it's called. And everybody's watching. Some guy, he jumps across the desk and hits a judge. Oh, that's entertaining. That's a good one right there. Good job, Dan. And meanwhile, he's like an ABC News legal analyst. So what is this guy with his multiple personalities? He's Jerry Springer. He thinks he's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He's bald as a cue ball, and he glues a squirrel to the top of his head. Oh, yeah, it's true. It's true. Anyway, let me move on here. The Jerusalem Post. Deliberate and misleading Israeli defense report refutes Hamas claims of Gaza starvation. Isn't it amazing? You have to refute Hamas's claims. That shows you how insane the world is, and how insane the American media and Western media are. They're absolutely nuts. But we already knew that long before October 7, 2023. Israel refuted the claims of starvation of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Here's what I want to see. If the starvation is widespread and it's genocidal, as the defeated Western countries of France and England and Canada and Australia with their left-wing goon of a prime minister, then show us the video. Not one picture, a phony picture on the New York Times. In the Holocaust, everywhere you turn, there were emaciated bodies, some people barely alive, large numbers of whom were dead. Show us the photo. Show us the video. Al Jazeera, which is the same as Hamas, they had some phony reporters over there who got killed. And the media's going, oh my God, they killed journalists. They killed journalists in Gaza. The Jews killed the journalists. And of course, they're all Hamas terrorists, which you find out 48 hours later. And they're still out there. All right, but you don't see that. Yeah, but you still don't kill a journalist. They're not a journalist, you a-holes. They're a Hamas terrorist. Anyway, I'm serious. I want to see the extent of the starvation, a.k.a. the genocide. I want to see it. They're not without video cameras in Gaza. They're not without iPhones in Gaza. We see the fat little slob terrorists. They're just having a grand old time in the tunnels. Look what we have, caviar. Look what we're eating here. Look what we're having here. Look what we're having. Of course, media ignores it. It's online. Why do you have to fake photos if it's everywhere? Why? Now, Mark, but who's getting it? The UN's getting in there. I mean, they lost 88 trucks this past week. They were hijacked. Oh. Who's talking about that? Me. 88% of their trucks, not 88 trucks, more than that. These are 18-wheelers. Where did they go? What happened? Was it climate change? I don't know. Now, according to the Coordinator of Government Activities in the Territories, or COGAT, the IDF unit responsible for civilian affairs in Gaza and in Judea and Samaria, they said Hamas is behind the deliberate and misleading publication of data. According to COGAT, Hamas portrays Gazan patients with severe pre-existing conditions as having died of malnutrition, saying this was part of a coordinated campaign by Hamas to discredit the state of Israel and achieve political gains. Piers Morgan's out there. He's buying every bit of it. I used to like Piers Morgan. I don't like him anymore. Well, come on my show. Shove your friggin' show. Come on my show. Why would I come on your show? COGAT's review reportedly found a gap between the deaths attributed to malnutrition as reported. He doesn't want to debate me. It's not that I don't want to debate you. I don't want to get you eyes. Debate you? Why would I lower myself to come on your GD show? I'm just saying. COGAT's review reportedly found a gap between the deaths attributed to malnutrition as reported by the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry and the cases documented and published with details in media and social media. Imagine that. Since early July, the report said there had been an increase in the number of reported malnutrition deaths reported by the ministry. Until this June, 66 such deaths have been reported from the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war, and in June alone, more than 133 deaths. Must be the Israelis withholding food, not Hamas. The Hamas Gaza Health Ministry. COGAT's review said the Gaza Health Ministry did not release the names of these deceased, as it had traditionally done in the past. I wonder why. For example, on July 19, Hamas announced 18 malnutrition-related deaths. On July 22, another 15. But COGAT's probe identified only a handful of cases, adding that this raises serious doubt about their credibility. You won't read this in the New York Slimes or the Washington Compost. No. What about this guy, Mehdi? The hell is this? Mehdi Haman or Hamat? He's everywhere. Oh, you ought to see that video a few years back where he's trashing Jews and Israel. I can't find it anymore. It disappeared. Wonder where it went, Mr. Producer. Climate change. Anyway, the ministry said on Tuesday that over the past 24 years, 5 people, including 2 children, died of starvation and malnutrition. And the review added that following a case-by-case analysis of the actual published deaths, most of those allegedly dying from malnutrition had pre-existing medical conditions that led to the deterioration of their health unrelated to nutritional status. So is there a cable channel? Is there a network channel? Is there a newspaper or magazine that can refute this? Is there? How about any of the podcasters? Influencers, they're very influential. COGAT also reported that some individuals had received medical treatments in Israel prior to the outbreak of the war, saying that the documented cases don't represent the condition of the general population in Gaza and present only extreme cases involving pre-existing illnesses. The report pointed to images circulated online of 4-year-old Abdullah Hani Muhammad Bahaba with media claiming that his condition was due to hunger in Gaza. COGAT stated that following an investigation, they found the young boy suffers from a genetic disease, as you know, causing vitamin and mineral deficiencies, osteoporosis, and bone thinning, a condition affecting other family members. Prior to the war, the young boy traveled with his mother to an East Jerusalem hospital to receive medical treatment. Wait a minute, he got medical treatment from the Jews? Now, do you know there's a policy in Israel that whoever walks through the door, they don't even ask them any questions, who they are, where they're from, what their backgrounds are? They have hospitals on the border with Syria. They have hospitals, or did, on the border with Gaza. They have hospitals on the other end of the country. And during the Syrian civil war, that one main hospital they had, which my family and I actually visited, they said they spend more time taking care of Syrian civilians in that hospital than any Israelis. Oh, it's not reported. Pierce, did you know that? Pierce. NGO, the Association of Civil Rights in Israel, said in response, anyone who reads the report is liable to think the IDF entered the enclave, analyzed the status of the population. Oh, boy. It goes on, but the damn thing shut down on me. Which has been denied comprehensive humanitarian aid for months now, and then a set system was created to dispel the hunger. Reports from the ground allege that many experienced chaos at those sites, that the IDF has, in several points, shot at crowds to restore order. This is not the case, they said. Obviously, there were system problems, but this was not the case. It explained that points attempted to be proved by the report, that some of the individuals who Hamas claimed died from malnutrition, had previous health complications, were all worsened by hunger. And so you have another group that's in there trying to say, well, whatever you say, it's not true. And it's actually these people who had these conditions, it's worse by hunger. Okay, maybe it is. Which is why Hamas needs to be destroyed. Because Hamas is a killing machine. Jew, Palestinian, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
How many times have you told someone, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Now, that's great advice for most things, but not so much for a cell phone. See, over time, the battery life fades, the processor can't keep up, and it's fallen in the toilet perhaps one too many times. Fortunately, thanks to Pure Talk, your cell phone is something you can replace without feeling guilty. When you switch to Pure Talk this month, they're going to give you a Samsung Galaxy A36 for free with a $35 qualifying plan. Wow, just $35 a month for talk, text, and data, and a free Samsung phone, the scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass, and a battery that lasts all day. All on America's most dependable 5G network. Look, supporting companies like Pure Talk is a really good thing. You win by cutting your cell phone bill in half. They win by hiring more Americans and helping more veterans. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to get your free phone today. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin. Switch to my wireless company, America's wireless company, Pure Talk. Now, I despise Bernie Sanders. I don't like the Stalinist, but I despise the guy. I don't like what he says, the way he says it. He's all over the place. And the fact that he's an out-of-the-closet Stalinist and he gets away with this stuff is just unbelievable. It's mind-numbing. And yet the guy's always talking about the working people, the working people, the working people. The guy's never worked a day in his life. The guy's like a homeless guy. You know, he gets on a soapbox, he's screaming at the top of his lungs, but this time he can do it in the Senate. Oh, look, billionaire. I mean, he knows like 7 words. But the guy's never been in the working class. He's got a net worth maybe in or around $15 million. $15 million. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. We're in hour 3 already. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Thank you for coming, being on the program here. We always appreciate it very much. A friend of mine, let me find this, what I'm trying to read to you folks. A friend of mine wrote a piece. His name's Arthur Ferguson. He's one of the brightest people I've ever known, and I've known him a very long time. One of the great lawyers. He was a clerk to Chief Justice Warren Burger in the day, and we've co-authored some things over a period of time. I want to read something to you that he's written. Unfit to serve. On April 22, 2 higher education trade groups issued a letter called A Call for Constructive Engagement. To date, 660 college and university so-called leaders have signed the letter, the vast majority presidents, with a scattering of chancellors, deans, and heads of education organizations. Advertised as a public defense of Harvard University in its disputes with the federal government, although the letter nowhere mentions that school, the letter is widely understood as an attack on the Trump administration and its efforts to root out anti-Semitism and sky-high student tuition. Not one of the signers demanded any change before they signed their names to someone else's work. And by doing so, they committed a fundamental logical fallacy, abandoned core principles of higher education, and put their names to what they knew, if indeed they even read it, was a document that contained blatant untruths. They are unfit to serve as heads of their organizations, and all Americans should refuse to contribute to these institutions that these men and women head up. And this applies not just to conservatives, but also to moderates and liberals who care about the quality of education that is offered at these schools. In short, the men and women must go. First, the fallacy. The ad publium fallacy is used to sell toothpaste and deodorant. Buy, believe, endorse, use, sign, because so many other people do likewise. And if you look at the demands by students, faculty, and political advocacy groups to pressure presidents to sign, the argument is simply that so many others have signed. In other words are used than ad publium, words like collective or solidarity. But it all amounts to the same thing, sign on because so many others have. It's like they're pushing junk stock or swampland. This is nothing more than the type of ad publium fallacy known as bandwagon fallacy. Bandwagon fallacy or bandwagon appeal is the main form of the ad publium fallacy and occurs when someone argues that a belief or action is correct because the majority of people support it. Such arguments take advantage of the bandwagon effect of cognitive bias that causes people to adopt the behaviors or opinions of others due to a desire to fit in and be liked. And what's wrong with that? The non-signing presidents from Dartmouth, Stanford, Vanderbilt, Penn State, Syracuse have been pummeled with the same threats. Sign or else. Sign or face disgrace. Sign or be forever labeled a traitor. Both Cian Bealock of Dartmouth, with the distinction of being excoriated in the New York Times and the New Yorker, and Stanford's Jonathan Levin have responded in a similar fashion. I write my own letters. They say I do my own work. Here's Levin. I don't disagree with the sentiments in that letter. I just prefer not to sign open letters in general. I think it's good practice at a university for people to formulate and express their own views. Precisely, putting your signature to a letter that someone else wrote is a betrayal of the basic principles of liberal arts, and it goes on. Our colleges and universities share a commitment, this is the language, to serve as centers of open inquiry where, In the pursuit of truth, faculty, students, and staff are free to exchange ideas and opinions across a full range of viewpoints without fear of retribution, censorship, or deportation. The key word here is share, by which each of the 660 signers vouches for each of the other signing institutions as committed to serve as centers of open inquiry, where faculty, students, and staff have the freedom to exchange ideas and opinions across a full range of viewpoints without fear of retribution and so forth. There's no evidence that any of the signers have engaged in the diligent inquiry or any inquiry necessary to state that a school other than his or her own is committed to freedom of speech. 660 of them? Not even 10 other schools? Not even one? An impossible task, but that's what each president attested to. And it goes on. And the reason this is important, because he's demonstrating what a bunch of fraud these people are. And yet that letter was signed 660 presidents and their ilk. That letter was signed for the purpose of drawing the attention of the media. The Crimson reported on May 22, 2023, that approximately 32% of Harvard faculty described themselves as liberal, very liberal rather, 45% is liberal, 20% is moderate, 3% is conservative or very conservative. A Princeton professor told Christopher Rufo, recorded by Rufo, that the university's president could not name a single conservative on its faculty beyond Robert George, a name supplied to him by other panelists, was laughed at by the audience at the AEI event where President Eisenberger was speaking. Professor Jonathan Turley, an independent scholar, William Dershowitz, among many others, have written about the purposely non-intellectual diverse faculty and the intentional efforts to keep non-leftists at the faculty rosters. You know, Turley has, over time, really shifted his viewpoint. I think it's as a result of what he's experienced. I think I'm one of the few who have asked him, and I have enormous respect for Jonathan Turley. Enormous respect. He's written the best book I've ever read on the First Amendment, Turley wrote. And I read a lot. And he's intellectually honest. And he's in a very hostile environment. Very hostile environment. That George Washington Law School is crazy. Let's say he's a legal analyst. He's not a legal analyst. This guy's a legal analyst. And he has studied the law like professors do, but he's come to a different viewpoint over time. I'm not saying he's a conservative activist or anything of the sort, but I'm saying he is a very rational and a serious scholar and intellectual who I respect greatly. Anyway, I wanted to point this out because these who signed these 660 people, presidents and their ilk at these universities and colleges, they're frauds. They're phonies. They're frauds and phonies. Just like Bernie Sanders never held a real job. Talks about standing with working people. He's an ideologue. That's all he is. He's an ideologue. Excuse me. And, by the way, you had a CNN anchor visibly upset when analysts was saying, remember I played that last night, that Epstein files had not hurt Trump at all? They've not hurt Trump at all. And even the grifters, the podcast grifters, and not all podcasters are grifters. There's a few good ones, but nonetheless, they don't even talk about it anymore. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Wow, the board is full. It's loaded. People trying to get in. So let's take a few calls. What do you say? We're going to start with Violet, who's 10 years old, in Beaufort, South Carolina, on XM Satellite. Violet, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
How are you?
I'm doing great. Now that you called, thank you.
So I can't drive, and I don't have a driver's license,
No?
and I I had to call you 57 times just for the line to get through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought,
so there's something important's going on. Tell me.
Yeah. I thought I'd call for my dad's birthday since I couldn't go to Virginia to get a signed book.
Oh, aren't you a sweetheart?
And I'm just very nervous right now. And
would you like me to send you a signed book to give to your daddy?
Yes, please. And we like to listen to your replays all the time.
Thank you. Is his birthday soon?
It's Saturday.
I don't think I can get it there that fast. So, you're going to have to write down and say, Daddy, I'm getting you a signed book from Mark Levin for your birthday. And when it comes, it comes. Right?
Yeah, but I think he's listening right now in the other room.
Uh-oh. Well, it won't be a secret. But it's definitely going to be from you. So that's kind of cool, Violet. So I'll tell you what. Don't hang up. And I need you to give your address to our call screener and your daddy's full name. Can you do that?
Yes.
You know your address?
Yes, I do.
And you know not to tell anybody but us, right? Because we're going to send you the book.
Yes.
Okay, now don't hang up.
Okay.
What were you going to say?
I can't believe you work with Donald Trump.
He's a very nice man.
And I think you're very awesome.
Thank you, sweetheart. You're very sweet too. You know that? So don't hang up. Whatever you do, please don't hang up. Somebody's going to grab the phone and they're going to ask you politely for some information, okay?
Okay.
You're a very nice daughter. Your daddy should be very pleased and proud of his daughter. I'll tell you that, Violet. Don't hang up. You take care.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Producer. We've got that under control, I hope. Definitely don't want to lose her. That was very nice. Why does that make me feel great? Sweet. That's what it is. Joyous. We're going to go to Bill, Cheyenne, Wyoming, on XM Satellite. Bill, I used to watch a show called Cheyenne. Had a great actor there.
That was.
You remember who the actor was?
I want to say Steve McQueen, but I don't think it was.
Big guy.
He
was in The Dirty Dozen.
Right. Clint Howard.
Clint Walker.
Clint Walker, that's it. Okay. Yeah, you really pushed my memories.
Well, Clint Walker became a good friend of mine, and years ago we would have him on the show. Unfortunately, he passed away, but we became good friends, and I would call him, and he would call in Clint Walker, and Dirty Dozen's one of my top favorite movies. Patton's number one. Dirty Dozen's up there. Maybe it's number 2 or 3. Anyway, Cheyenne, Wyoming. Let me ask you something. Middle of the summer, what kind of temperatures in Cheyenne, Wyoming?
We normally sit around between 70s and 80s. Every once in a while we get in the 90s. It's not that bad.
But the winters are kind of brutal, aren't they?
Well, it's the wind. Mm-hmm. It's the wind. And that's why we really don't have a lot of, the weirdos out here, is because the wind kind of chases them off. Because you really have to get used to it. You really do.
Well, you must be blowing them over here to me. But anyway, Bill, how are you, brother? What's cooking?
I am doing wonderful. Well, first thing I want to say is, the Democratic Party is just an example of a bunch of villages missing their idiots. Okay, I mean that's all I can say about them.
I would say they're a bunch of idiots missing their village. No.
Well, that too.
Yeah, exactly.
But what we need, I think, in our government more than anything else, we need to cut down the amount of lawyers.
Yeah.
And get historians or people who have a historical background. You talk about anti-Semitism. I'll tell you what, I despise it. Totally despise it. And it goes back to the 1st, 2nd century with, the whole idea, the Jews are Christ killers and this type of thing. Well, the Romans killed Jesus. Okay, the Jews did, even though they gave over to them. And then in the Middle Ages, they were invited into certain countries to be moneylenders. For instance, Poland. Okay, the nobility would not. It was beneath them to lend money out. Well, then when they had they owed all this money, that's when the program started. That's when the anti-Semitism, the blood libel and all this crap, and it's gone on. You've got the elites now, and the elites have always thought this way about the Jews. It stopped for a little bit after World War II when after the Holocaust. In fact, Dwight Eisenhower made sure that he had photographers out there taking films and cameras and photographing all these camps, Dachau, Buchenwald, Sachsenhausen, so that no one can deny that this happened. But why you need more historians is that it's that old saying, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And when you sit and you look at, for instance, the Israel, I'll take Israel as an example. People have to be reminded, how did Israel come about as a state? All right. They were given it was partition between them and the Arabs. The Arabs says, nope, we want it all. And they started the war. Israel says, okay, game on. Okay. And boom. That's how the state of Israel was born. And they've been constantly attacking Israel for that over all these years. People always forget that. Okay.
Let me ask you something, Bill, before we have to take a hard break here. I take it you're not Jewish, or you are Jewish?
No, I am not Jewish. I am a Christian. In fact,
you've studied this.
Yes, I have. In fact, I wear a Star of David with a cross in front of it. I've got it on right now because, in essence, I feel that we worship the same God.
That's true.
Mean, that is the.
And let me ask you, I just don't know. I just know. Does Cheyenne have many? I have to take a break. Bill, don't hang up. I want to talk to you. We'll be right back. I do. I can't hear you. What? Oh, we have 30 more seconds left. Bill, come back.
Okay.
Do you have any synagogues in Cheyenne?
Yes, we do. We have one. I myself, I would be one of the first to stand in front of that and protect them from anything.
Well, what do you think's going on with these podcasters who, some of whom used to be Republican and conservative, and what is their hatred?
It is an elitist view. Okay, the Jews have always been scapegoats. Okay, for everything. Everybody's needed a scapegoat of some kind. Hitler used him as a scapegoat. The Russians used him as a scapegoat. Okay?
Man, I would need you to call back. I got to go, right? Right, Ron? I need you to tell me what I'm doing here.
Okay.
Okay, we have 30 more seconds. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But they've been the scapegoats for ages. In a Christian point of view, it's like this. The Jews are God's chosen people. They were originally chosen by God for two things. Number one, to keep his laws faithful. All right? You can go back to the Old Testament.
10 seconds.
To the Torah is written. All right?
Listen, I like you. I got to have you back. You're very informed, very good. Don't hang up, Mr. Producer. I want to get his full name and get him a signed book, too, if I might. We'll be right back.
This is the show the New York Times is afraid of. Mark Levin, calling now at 877-381-3811.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been doing a lot of interviews. I've enjoyed every damn one of them on Power, my new book. Those of you who have acquired it, I want to thank you very, very much. I hope you're enjoying it. I know many of you have let us know that you are. Many of the hosts who've been reading it have told us they actually read it in one sit-down, but that they sort of dog-ear tons of pages and highlighted a lot of the language and sentences and arguments in the book. It's a very important book. Some of your kids have already been sent off to college or gone to college. Some of them are about to go. Some of them may return briefly for the 3-day weekend that comes up in a few weeks. I hope you'll hand them a copy of the book. They're going to need it in college. They're going to need it in high school. And you should read it too. So I think it's a very important book on power. It is a somewhat different way. The hosts that have read it, they'll say, this is a little different for you. It is. I wrote it a little differently, much easier to understand, but it's mostly my thoughts, my arguments, my rationalization and reasoning. And I think you're going to really, really get into it. I really do. So tonight's a perfect night, Amazon.com, or those of you on the West Coast or elsewhere, if you're going to Barnes & Noble or Walmart or Target or any of these stores, Sam's Club, they all have it. And again, you can get it on Amazon.com. It'll show up tomorrow morning. So this is Governor Newsom's office. Governor Newsom, you can see how he constantly changes his personality, his approach. He's trying anything. And now he's trying to be Donald Trump or mock Donald Trump. This guy's a complete loser. First of all, he's a dork. He's a dork. What's he putting in his hair there? What's he putting in a jelly? I don't know what he's doing with his hair, but he looks like a strange dude to me. He's got that Adam Schiff pencil neck, you know. But he's a complete loser. The state is bankrupt. Really, the greatest state. It was the greatest state. Everybody said go west. They meant California. The state is broke. People can't get out of there fast enough. If they can, they do. It's the most beautiful state, quite frankly, when you look at all the different types of environments there. And they run out of water. You know, Mr. Producer, they've got the biggest coastline in the country, and they run out of water. They're nuts, this guy. Run out of water, not enough water to put out fires. They get fires because they don't tend to the forestry areas and the wooded areas properly. He's got more illegal aliens. I mean, there's almost as many as illegal aliens there as there are citizens in the country of Mexico. And I can go on and on and on. And this guy wants to be president. Whenever he says, I say, well, which country? Not ours. No, our country wants to be president. And it's a one-party state, so he can basically do whatever he wants. So he's bankrupted them. The highest taxes in the country, the highest gasoline prices in the country, the highest food prices in the country, so many regulations. You can't open a pizzeria. You can't open a laundromat. They're welcoming to criminals and illegal aliens. Their politicians are radical nuts. So this guy is a loser and a dork. So he puts out a social post. Governor Newsom press office. Final warning, Donald Trump. Maybe the most important warning in history. Stop cheating or California will redraw the maps. And guess who will announce it this week? Gavin Newsom, many say the most loved and handsome governor, and a very powerful team. Don't make us do it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The guy can't even be original. I hope he's their nominee, because I think he's going to get his ass kicked from sea to shining sea. I really do. When the numbers come out, he talks slick. You've seen guys like this before. Ladies, you've seen guys like this before. They're slick, but you want to get as far away from them as you can, right? Because they're sleazy. That's what he is. He's slick and he's sleazy. And he's a failure. That's his record. He's a loser. Now he pretends he's Donald Trump. You know, he tried podcasting, failed. It's a one-party state. He can do whatever he wants. And what does he do? He kills the state. Kills the state. But he's going to change, you know. He got 7 or 9 Republicans out of 52. And, of course, they should have many more. And Greg Abbott, who will be on this program tomorrow night, followed by Governor DeSantis, but he'll be on this program tomorrow night. And he's going to point out, if we want 10 Republican seats, we can do that in Texas, too. And I'm going to ask DeSantis, because I think Florida can do more, too. So those are the 2 biggest Republican states. We're going to have both governors at their request, and I look very much forward to having them. I mean, between those 2 states, they clearly outnumber outnumber California. But the Democrats have been doing this. I did an entire program on this. I think it was Saturday on Fox. By the way, are you liking my Fox show, ladies and gentlemen? Do you like it? Do you like it that it's Saturday and Sunday? I'm starting to think maybe I should retire. Maybe I should drop something. I'm not kidding. You don't think so, Ron? Never. Oh, there'll be some point, but If people don't want to watch it, and I'm not saying they don't, but if they don't want to watch it, I can just be one of these guests, who just pops up here and there. Let's go to Bardia, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP, the home of Mr. Substitute Producer, but he's a good man, Ron. How are you, Bardia?
I'm okay. How about you, Mark?
I'm very well. Thank you, sir.
It's an honor to talk to you, number one.
Thank you.
Number two is that I've been listening to you for the past 14, 15 years, 3 hours a night.
Wow, thank you.
So I won't miss it. The reason I'm calling about Mamdani, I see it's like a deja vu to me. This happened to me in my country back in Iran 46 years ago. And what you have mentioned here about the socialists or communists getting together with Islamic together, which they don't believe the religion, but they got together so they can knock down the enemy. 100%. And then one of them going to take over the other one. That's what happened.
That's right. You're right.
And Shaw mentioned that 46 years ago. We didn't understood that time because we were young. And we said, how is that possible? The person doesn't have a religion. Get together with the other one believe in religion and, get together. So I just want to mention that to you. If that thing keep going like that, this is the plan to do the U.S., do the same thing. They do it from inside to destroy it, just like they did back in Iran.
You're 100% right. And I explain this in the book, too. I think you'll like it on Power. But, it's like even different sects of communism. They fight with each other after they've conquered whoever it is they want to conquer, and they deal with that later. And the Marxists and the Islamists, that these radical political Islamists, they think the same way in that regard. The West is the problem, the United States in particular. In the Middle East, it's Israel in particular, but it's Judaism, Christianity, Muslims who don't toe the line, people who have no faith at all, gay people, whatever it is. They blow them out. They kill them. Because for the Marxists, the individual is meaningless. They're like dehumanized. And same with the Islamists. If you're not part of the 7th century cult, if you will, having gone through the Reformation and the Enlightenment, and you don't mind using barbaric means to destroy people. I mean, look at what they did to these Israelis. It's just as sick as can be. Or look what they did on 9/11. It's absolutely horrendous. They focus on the civilians. They focus on the babies and the women and the most vulnerable. And the Marxists do too. And so you got in this combination in New York, this Marxist Islamist who's trying everything not to reveal specifics. He's got these general comments on what he does, but nobody ever holds him down and says, okay, how do you run a supermarket? How do you run a grocery store? You're going to take them, what are you going to do? Okay. You say you want to take over the housing market. Tell us exactly what you're going to do. We did that in the 60s. We had these tenements and everything. We had to knock them down. It was a disaster. So tell us what you're going to do that's different. And, hold his feet to the fire. But he won't, because now he's deflecting. Now he's trying to tie Cuomo to Trump and Trump to this and that. Now he's deflecting. Now he's a victim. And in the media, of course, a lot of it, not the New York Post, I'm proud to say, but the rest, they'll run interference for him. And it's interesting to me that the Democrat leaders in Congress, that would be Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they don't even have the guts to condemn this guy. They don't even have the guts to condemn the fact that he used the language of Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, and all the other terrorists, including in Iran. He used their language about an international intifada, and he won't walk it back. He won't walk it back. Well, Barty, I want to thank you, my friend. I appreciate you calling very much. Don't hang up. We're going to send you a signed copy of On Power as well. And ladies and gentlemen, since I can't give everybody a free book, of course, you can grab your own, as we talked about. And I know you're going to love this book. I really do. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
All right. Let's take a few more calls here. Let's go to Cardi, Houston, Texas, XM Satellite. Cardi, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark?
Very well, thank you.
First time caller, long time listener. I was turned on to you by my dad, who is a 40-year law enforcement veteran.
Wow.
I did 24 years of myself, and
that's a lot.
He's a deep Reaganite, and he taught us all well. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, I've been racking my brain trying to figure this out. Why are the Texas Congress people that are on their way to avoid everything, to quit this, to stop this quorum? How is malfeasance, nonfeasance, and misfeasance, is that an option, and is it a criminally chargeable offense under the Constitution? I don't remember if it's civil or if it's criminal.
Well, what applies here is the state constitution, because so much of what happens in elections, and it's supposed to, are under state control. Now, there is an overlay of federal law and the federal constitution. In other words, you got to figure out how many congressional districts you're going to have, plus a determination on the Electoral College, which is determined by how many districts, among other things. So that's important. But in terms of figuring out under that umbrella, the states are given a lot of leeway as long as the districts aren't, clearly done for racial reasons, and that really isn't done anymore. So it's the states. So there are laws, apparently, in Texas. You're not allowed to leave the state and prevent the majority, in this case the Republicans, from having a quorum, because if that were the state of play in every state, you'd never have anything getting done, would you? The minority would just leave and say, you won the election, but too bad you can't get a quorum. So they have laws that they're trying to enforce in Texas, fines they're trying to enforce in Texas. I don't know if it's malfeasance or whatever it is, but they're trying to apply them. So that's what's going on there.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, brother. Thank you for your service. God bless you. John, Nashville, Tennessee, where we've got family. Lots of family. XM Satellite. John, go right ahead.
Hey, good evening, sir. How are you?
I am great. Thank you, my friend.
Good. I got a question that's really been bothering me.
Uh-oh.
You got people like AOC and the squad and all these people who are elected Congress and Senate, the House of Representatives and everybody, and all they do is sit on the floor and badmouth America and badmouth the country, badmouth everything. Isn't there something we can do about that?
Not a lot. My view is if the Democrats just sit on the floor and badmouth and they're in the minority, that's a pretty good thing. Because what they want to do is more problematic than good. In fact, if they all want to hang out in the bathroom or the water fountain or in the cafeteria, that's fine by me, as long as the Republicans have a quorum, and I think they do. But I get your point. They're busy attacking America, and they never get anything done for America, and they're never going to, because it's a party that has become extremist and radical, more towards Marxism. It's a party that invites Islamists into the fold. It's a party that is very damnable. Thanks for your call. Thank you, everybody. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine. We're rooting for you Friday. The men and women in Israel, we're rooting for you right now. And you, the great American people, I'll see you tomorrow. Grab your book at Amazon. You can do this. See you tomorrow.